Please welcome to the stage Atlanta developer Booker T. Washington.
Good morning, citizens. Thank you all for having me here. My name is Booker T. Washington, real estate developer, founder and CEO of South Park Cottages and Techie homes. For as long as I can remember, home ownership has always been referred to as a cornerstone of the American dream. In communities all across this country, especially in communities of color, a home is a sense of pride, not just a house. It is a source of pride and a source of security. It is a place where we raise kids, where we grow old, and where we retire with dignity. But for us, a home is just the ultimate evidence of our hard work and our ability to obtain the American dream. But today, the reality of home ownership is in jeopardy. Over the past 3 years, rent rates have risen more than 24% across this country on average. During that time, we've seen high interest rates, low inventory, and a depressed and neglect to improve these impoverished neighborhoods across all of our urban centers and metro areas. It was in this neglect that I recognized that we have a housing crisis of generational proportions. But in this crisis is where I birthed the dream of South Park Cottages. I'm a native of Atlanta, Georgia. Growing up, I was raised by a single mother. That single mother had 3 children and didn't have the financial means to purchase a home. But we didn't recognize that as lack thereof. We just recognized it as what it should be. Me and my siblings were transient. We moved from apartment project to apartment project. But all we knew in the mirrors of reflection of that struggle was that that was the norm and that we shouldn't dream anything different or dream anything other. But how do you have a dream out of something you've never experienced before? I think that's where my mother gave me my namesake, Booker T. Washington, a person who was a slave, who had a dream, and grew to be an American influential figure. We moved around the country looking at different areas of the country that showcase different housing and home ownership options. But ultimately, all I wanted to do was come back to the neighborhoods I grew up in to transition that struggle and transition the version of what I saw. I am the first person in my family to be a homeowner. And it was during that process that I learned that home ownership was not just only an option, but it was obtainable. It was obtainable by the right resources, by access, and by the right support. I realized that there was no desire to change the status quo. There was no desire to have the hard conversation. There just wasn't a desire to change the values in these impoverished neighborhoods because it wasn't us that would benefit. That is where this napkin came into my head. This napkin design gave me a moment that in realization, I can design an oasis of my dreams. An oasis where we had connected community and connected neighbor and connected experiences, where you can sit down and talk to one another, where you can say, hello, neighbor, where you can say, I'm proud of you. Now, that may be ambitious in every fast-moving way around the world today. How can you design something on a napkin and think that that will be reality? How can you come from an impoverished neighborhood with lack of education, lack of dreams, lack of hope, single mother, every obstacle against you, and design something that will connect people in a way that you've never experienced before. But that was the dream on this napkin. South Park Cottages is the first Black and minority developed micro-home community in the United States. I'm proud to say that it has provided affordable home ownership to first-time home buyers. I'm proud to say that it has been birthed from my childhood dreams. South Park Cottages is a micro-home community with homes ranging from 400 to 600 square feet. Within this community, we feature sustainable initiatives such as amenity lights and parking lot lights that are solar panels for roofs, fruit and vegetable gardens that provide health and wellness, all on a connected 2.5 acres of 29 homes and 29 homeowners. Not outstretching in other neighborhoods, not moving outside the bounds of the urban center. College Park, Georgia is sister and butted next to the busiest airport in the world and features more than 75% of its residents as renters. This had to change. So that's where the birth of South Park Cottages evolved. Not just because it's the first minority developed micro-home community in the United States, but this community demonstrates that in partnership with officials, in partnership with those in the community that want to build community, and not out of self-interest, that we can build something that defeats the norm, changes the dreams of those individuals such as myself in their childhood that couldn't see anything different, and challenge what we think about ordinances, zoning protocols, and all those things that are told to us in preventing developments like South Park Cottages. We have all tried to rationalize our real estate values when we look at all these areas, but real estate values are all tracked, created, manipulated forms of sense of value from someone else's development. It may not be the real sense of value for home ownership, and home ownership attainability is about action. We have more students graduating now with more student loan debt than ever. The average student is graduating and not even attempting to buy their first home until 36 or 37 years of age. That is not the American dream that was promised. The American dream that was promised was you work hard, you get an education, you grow into your careers, and you'll be rewarded with this American dream of owning your piece of the pie and owning a home. But that's not the case today. The American dream now is something that we continue to have to fight for. We continue as citizens to have to advocate for. We have changed terms of housing, replacing it of home ownership, such as just a roof over my head should be just enough for my life. And there should be a lot more. Micro-home developments can create more of a connected community through unstacking, unattaching shared walls and common spaces. But by detaching them and creating micro spaces like this, we found a way to find much more experiential connection and much more depth for access of home ownership for those who are at the lower rungs of our economy, and for those who are retiring and fighting for their retirements, ways for them to have home ownership in the ways that they see. Our designs at Techie Homes are innovative. They are modern in nature, as you can see. But that napkin that you saw earlier turned into a greater vision than the source it was written on. Just because by choice, I wanted to envision something that was bigger than me, bigger than my mother who had all of these children and was single and did not have the financial ability to do so. I had a dream from that napkin that would surpass what the American dream is and what the urban dream is. Because as we look around our metro centers and metro areas, the urban centers have not gained in home ownership. They've only lost. Over the last 10 years, within major metro areas, Black and minorities have seen a drop in their home ownership. They have seen a drop in their net worth. They have seen a drop in their ability to dream. How many more innovative pocket communities from dead-end lots like this or infill lots in metro areas can we develop? There is a hope in housing. More so, there is a hope in home ownership. Microhomes are the future of affordable housing in the United States. There will be a new model of the American dream, an American dream of connectivity, an American dream of access, an American dream of support, and an American dream of innovation. Because from all of those who said it wasn't possible, by that napkin, it became possible. In over 18 months from that napkin to realization, we developed South Park Cottages. Imagine your neighborhoods. Imagine your infill lots. Imagine your dead ends. Imagine if we left here today what we could do 18 months from now. How many more micro communities we could build. How many more infill lots and abandoned lots we can create tax revenue for that support access to home ownership and support access to programs and support the urban dream. I hope when all of you live here today that you have heard more about the complexities of housing and home ownership. You feel empowered by the dream of that napkin. And we ask that you join Techie Homes. And in joining Techie Homes, you go to your communities and you envision a way that home ownership can become attainable in an innovative way. And by that, I say thank you and God bless.